Hey y'all! So today I'm going to be reviewing the Lock and Key graphic novel series by Joe Hill, illustrated by Gabriel Rodriguez. Lock and Key is a horror graphic novel series centered around the Locke family, more specifically the three children Tyler, Kinsey, and Bodhi. After a family tragedy, the Locke family moves across the country to the family's old house called Key House. And at this house, there are these keys that have these magical abilities. Now, I'm not going to go into any more detail about these powers that the keys have, mostly because I don't want to spoil anything, and I think it's more exciting to just discover as you go along, but I will say that these keys are super cool, and they're one of the most interesting elements of the plot. And speaking of the plot is very mysterious, especially for the first 4 volumes. But this is sometimes to its own detriment. I found it at times to be kind of confusing, especially once I got into volumes 3 and 4, because I felt like I still didn't understand some things that were really important, such as like the motive of the villain. However, the plot did pick back up in volumes 5 and 6, because we finally got some sort of explanation for the motives of the villain and kind of what was going on, but I felt like it was a little overdue. I feel like that explanation could have happened slightly earlier in the series, because some of the stuff that happened in like volumes 3 and 4 were slightly confusing without that explanation, and not in the like intriguing, mysterious, confusing way, but like this doesn't make any sense, why is this happening kind of way. And I kind of want to go back and reread the middle volumes to see if I might like them more now that I do have an explanation as to what was going on. Because there were things that happened that seemed out of place and confusing at the time that I actually read it, but now that I have the explanation, I feel like I might enjoy them more because I understand what's actually going on. One of my favorite aspects about the series was the characters. I thought that the characters were really well crafted and really believable and realistic people. The mix of characters was just really interesting and eclectic, and they just felt like real people. They dealt with real issues and they had real flaws. Nothing about their personalities seemed candy-coated or dramatized in any way. They just felt really real, and I appreciated that so much. And finally, on to the artwork. I was actually kind of ambivalent about the artwork at first. I didn't like it as much as I expected to, but as I continued on in the series, I actually started to really like the artwork. And the editions that I have these really gorgeous full prints in the back. So there's stuff like this, as well as pictures of the characters. I'm trying to find pages of the actual volume that I can show you, but like everything seems to be pretty spoilery. Okay, so here's a page that's not too spoilery, so you can see the artwork style. Here's some more of the artwork. Like I said, I've really grown to appreciate and love this art style in the series. So now I'm just going to briefly run through all 6 volumes and tell you what I rated them. I gave volume 1, Welcome to Lovecraft, 8 stars out of 10, which translates to 4 out of 5. Basically, I just thought that this was a really interesting and intriguing start to the series. However, I did think that some of this was slightly confusing, which is why it didn't get a higher star rating. I gave volume 2, Head Games, 7.5 stars out of 10, which translates to 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. Basically, I liked this just slightly less than the first volume, but I did still enjoy it, and I thought that it was fairly fast-paced as well. And this one is actually when some stuff gets a little bit more intriguing and interesting, and I really enjoyed that. I gave volume 3, Crown of Shadows, 7 stars out of 10, which translates to 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. Like I said, I liked this one slightly less than I liked the rest of the series, mostly just because of what I said before, where it was kind of confusing and I felt like it needed an explanation slightly earlier in the series. I gave volume 4, Keys to the Kingdom, 7 stars out of 10. I'm thinking of lowering it to 6.5 stars out of 10, and both of those translate to 3 out of 5 on Goodreads. This was my least favorite volume in the series. I thought that it was just kind of disjointed, and like I said, it was getting to the point where an explanation was in order, and we still hadn't gotten it yet, and it just was getting confusing, and like I said, it was somewhat disjointed for me. I mean, I still obviously enjoyed it because I gave it a fairly good rating. However, it was just my least favorite in the series. I gave volume 5, Clockworks, 8.5 stars out of 10, which translates to 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. This is by far my favorite in the series. Like I said, stuff finally gets explained in this one, and I really appreciated that. And finally, I gave Volume 6, Alpha and Omega, 8 stars out of 10, which translates to 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. This was just a really fast-paced and exciting conclusion to the series. As for an overall rating for the series, I would put it at 8 stars out of 10, which again translates to 4 out of 5 on Goodreads. I thought that it was a really clever, creative, and intriguing concept, and that it was executed very well for the most part. However, like I said, I did find some problems with the way things were explained and the rate at which things were explained, but overall I did really enjoy it. As I've said in the past, I would recommend, if you are interested in this series, don't go into it expecting like Paranormal Activity. I went into this kind of expecting it to be like a haunted house type thing, and it's definitely not that at all. I've likened it in the past to both The Shining and Saw, and while I think Shining is the better of the two to kind of describe the feel of this, I feel like this is really, really unique, and any preconceptions that you have going into it are just gonna be shattered. Locke and Key is the first graphic novel series that I've ever read, and when I first got into it, I wasn't so sure about graphic novels. I thought that this one was intriguing, but I didn't know if I would really want to continue to read graphic novels. I think it's because I'm already just so attached to novels and like the typical novel form. But now that I've read this, I really enjoy this form of storytelling, and I definitely want to get into some other graphic novels and see if I enjoy them. I definitely wouldn't say that I'm a complete graphic novel convert, because I do still prefer, you know, the typical novel, but this has definitely shown me that I need to give graphic novels a chance. Also, as a side note, if you are interested in purchasing this series, I would suggest that you buy the box set like I have, because it will be less expensive for you than buying each one individually. Also, I would recommend that you check both the prices on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble before you get this, because typically Amazon does have the cheaper prices. However, when I actually purchased it, Barnes & Noble had a much cheaper price than Amazon. Amazon was about $10 off the the regular price, whereas Barnes & Noble was like $25 off. Both of them have since dropped their prices, and last time I checked, Amazon was cheaper. However, I would still definitely check both of those before you buy. So that is all that I have for this review of the Locke and Key graphic novel series. Let me know down in the comments if you have read them and what you thought of them. I would love to hear your opinions. Let me know if you have any other questions about the series. I would love to answer them down in the comments. As always, I will leave links down in the description to my blog, Twitter, and Goodreads. Please add me as a friend on Goodreads. I would love to be friends with all of you. Like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!